Good morning, everyone, and welcome. We're going to start our service this morning by singing Sanctuary. The words will be up here. Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew. Make us aware we our sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew.
June Jordan writes, "Hey, come on, come out. Wherever you are, we need to have this meeting at this tree. Ain't even been planted yet. This morning we gather in this spirit, the spirit of all caps, urgency. We need to have this meeting. We need to gather for and around seeds of the future we have yet to plant. The future needs us, as it always has, but we feel it especially this week. So come, let us grieve and rage. Let us know that when the time comes to organize and strategize, we do it together. Come on, come out, let us worship." As we begin our service, as we always do, we take a moment to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional lands of the Duwamish people, stewards of this land in the past and the present. With humility and gratitude, we honor this land and the Duwamish tribe and commit to our role in the story of repair of our relationship with the land and with its people. Whoever you are, wherever you have come from, whatever the color of your skin, whoever and however you love, however your body moves and your brain works, however you identify, you are welcome in this faith community. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition has no test of faith, no creed or oath to swear. We have instead the promises we make to one another, commitments we make to healing a hurting world within and beyond our walls. So welcome everyone. It is so good to be together today.
And now, as we create this sacred space together, let us light our chalice. Our chalice lighter today is Elizabeth Porter Dorman. Would you please come forward, Elizabeth? Our chalice lighting words are from Pat Uribe Lichty. Our chalice is a reminder that in hard times, our ancestors in faith acted with courage to bring hope and safety, to bring life itself to threatened people. We light it today as a reminder of who we are called to be in a world still dangerous and despairing. With courage and faith, we bring ourselves to the work before us. And now, as Elizabeth lights our chalice, please join me in speaking the words of our congregation's affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this congregation.
The quest
for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship. Thus do we covenant with one another. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the West Side Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Lisa Reitzes, a member of the worship team, and it is a great joy to be gathering with you for today's service. Here we are. Today, more than ever, I am reminded of the words of the Reverend Wayne Arneson. He wrote, "Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone." So here we are. If you're with us for the first time or the first time in a while, especially welcome. We're so glad we're here, all of us together, both here in the sanctuary or joining online, to make space in our lives to attend to our hearts and our spirits, to come together in community. So please visit our website, which you can do by scanning the QR code in that nice yellow card in the pews, where you can fill out a welcome form so we can get to know you a bit better and send you our weekly electronic newsletter, the West Side Week. It is so good to see familiar and many new faces today. So now let's take a few moments to greet our neighbors around us. As always, it is great to see such enthusiastic greetings. The whole room is abuzz. So let's continue these conversations after the service at coffee hour downstairs in the social hall. So each week, congregants who agree to light our chalice are given a chance to speak from the heart. This is a chance for us to get to know them better and to invite more voices into our chancel. So Elizabeth has chosen to reflect on a work of poetry that is meaningful to her.
Good morning, everyone. This poem is called Broken and Bruised by Becky Hemsley. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it fall, they say we could question if it really fell at all. But sometimes we don't see the sun or feel it on our skin, yet we know that it's still shining and don't question it exists. If we see a tree in winter, we could think it's always bare, but we never doubt that one day brand new leaves will linger there. And when we see a fire, we don't tell it to be cold, and it can't stop itself burning just because it's told. Yet sometimes people tell us of the hurt we've made them feel, and it niggles at our conscience, so we tell them it's not real. You're just overreacting. There's no need to cry, we'll say. You're just so oversensitive. It wasn't meant that way. But though our egos may be bruised by all the things they've said, we can't say how they're feeling because we're not inside their head. See, if we're not in the forest, then it's not our place to tell the tree that's lying broken that it never actually fell. This last week, I've been feeling very scared, very anxious. We are dealing with a lot of emotions in my family and in my home. This poem kind of reminds me that when my brother texts me or posts on Facebook that we should get over it, I can kind of ignore him. There's a reason I don't talk to him very much. Last Tuesday, I actually knew exactly what I was going to say to you all. I had it half written. We were ready to go. And then Wednesday happened. So obviously things have changed. I felt the need on Wednesday to justify my pain and fear to you all, to explain it in the terms of those that I love and what they're going through and how scared everyone is and how scared I am for them. As a survivor of fear and assault, I cried for my memories and for the future and all the girls who are going to go through that without repercussion for their assailants now. I thought of my anger at the state of our country, but I'm not very good at that emotion, and I quickly became exhausted by rage. I really wanted to apologize for my white heteronormative privilege, but unfortunately I don't actually think that's helpful right now. I fear for my child, Quinn, who so many of you know and love, and for all the children that I love, by the way. They are many collectively known as my gabies, and they call me their mama bye instead of their mama bear. That works out well. I thought of all the people that I love and whose lives may be uprooted by promised policies. Many of you don't know this yet, but I came from Tennessee, the Deep South. And 7 years ago, I moved because I had a transgender child, and it became very clear that they were not going to be safe in the South. So I wept in sadness for everything that we're going to face in the coming days. But I've also thought of a few ways to kind of deal with what I'm feeling and what to do next. So these are not dictates, these are suggestions for ways to handle what you're going through right now. Number one, there is never a wrong occasion to overdress. There are 365 days in a year, and people claim that we're only allowed to dress to the fullest extent of our imagination on Halloween. I'm telling you right now, come to dinner on Tuesday night dressed as a full-on pirate. Things will feel a little bit better tomorrow. I love baking. Bread is really good. You knead that dough and punch it like it insulted your cat. And then you serve it to your family, covered in butter and jam, and say, "It's made with love." I've called a lot of my friends this last week, texted back and forth with people in Virginia and Tennessee. By the way, we're all planning to move to Canada and grow a community, grow all of our own food. Somebody has to figure out how to grow something bigger than a thumb-sized tomato, though. In the meantime, we'll come back to that. And then, of course, I came to you all. On Wednesday night, I came here and I sat with you all and I cried with you all. And that was so meaningful to me. I honestly can't imagine going through this without all of you right now. So thank you for being here for me and for my family. This last week has been terrible for so many of us, and we are going to persist and keep fighting. I'm not ready today. Today I'm going to curl up in my big fuzzy blanket and watch The Wild Robot with my kids. And when I'm ready, I'll come out swinging. It's what I've done my whole life. This week I'm going to be sad and protective and just wrap us up in a big fuzzy blanket. So good luck to everyone.
So normally we ask at this point for you to rise in body or spirit, but you may sit or rise as you feel so meditatively called, because we're singing meditation on breathing. So if it feels good for you to stand up to breathe, you're perfectly welcome to do that. If it feels better to just sit and let your seating service support you, feel free to do that as well. So we've got three of us, and we're going to be singing all three parts. And there are three parts, and those of you who like to look at music, it's in the teal hymnal, which is, and it's hymn number 1009 in there. But there's three parts. We're not going to actually teach all three parts, but we're going to slowly just add them in, and you can sing whatever part is easiest or feels best to you at the moment. Okay. Here's the easy, beautiful part. And
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe
one more time
out,
for that.
breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe out. When I breathe out, I breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe out. When I breathe out, I breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
Remember to
Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in,
within your heart.
breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for all the beautiful, calming sounds. So it is now our time for all ages, and Reverend Carter will be sharing today's story. So anyone of any age who wishes to see or hear our storyteller better, please come down, sit on the floor. I see lots of people who maybe want to come down front. It's the place to be. So while we gather, let me tell you about the religious exploration activities going on this morning downstairs. So the young and young at heart are invited to the social hall after the story for activity-based programming and fellowship. Our middle schoolers and youth are invited to be mindful makers, continuing their creative work with jiggle pets, while our younger cohort gathers around a fun Lego challenge. As always, the Creation Station and Quiet Zone are available to those who need them. Reverend Carter.
Hi, everyone. There's still a little bit more space. People are still welcome. I have a question, which is, Can anyone tell me an emotion they're feeling right now? Grief. I'm feeling, I see this. Sad. Anger. What about you? Any emotion you feel? It can be good or bad. Okay. Nostalgia. Compassion. Hi, come on down. What's that? Proud. Yeah, those are all good. So, the story for today, Come With Me, is about feeling lots of feelings because of things swirling in the world around us, and how a little girl learns to show up. And so let us begin with the first slide. All over the world, the news told and told and retold of anger and hatred. People were against people. And this little girl was frightened by everything that she heard and saw and felt. The girl asked her papa if there was something she could do to make the world a better place. Her papa said, "Come with me." Hand in hand, they walked out their door to the subway. Waiting there on the platform, her papa tipped his hat to all those he met. So the little girl did too. Some people were afraid of smiling to others. They were not. They rode through the tunnels, underground. The girl and her papa were brave and kind. That day, they won a tiny battle over fear for themselves and the people of this world. The news kept telling of anger and hatred. The little girl asked her mama what she could do to make the world a better place. Her mama said, "Come with me." They went to the grocery store run by their neighbors who moved here not long ago from a different country. They picked up food for dinner. Because even though people on the news say people from this country are dangerous, her mama knew there's no need to fear a family or the people of a land because of where they're from. Her mama cooked, and the girl set the table, piece by piece, as she had always done. Plate in the middle, knife and spoon to the right, fork on the left, napkin by its side, water glass, as she had always done. The little girl sat with her mama and papa, and they ate together. Her dog nuzzled her under the table. She scratched his head. The girl said, "I want to do something of my own. Can I walk the dog?" Her parents looked at each other, and they looked at their child. They decided to let her go and send a message to the world. They would not live in fear. And when the little girl opened the door, her friend across the hall opened his door too. "Where are you going?" he asked. The little girl said, "Come with me, because two people together are stronger than one." The girl, the boy, and the dog were happy to be out. One step at a time, they understood what they could do to make the world a better place. They could go on. They were brave, gentle, strong, and kind to one another and all living things. As tiny as it was, their part mattered to the world, and your part matters too. Come with me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Reverend Carter, for the wonderful story. And now we're going to sing our youth and children out to their RE activities with As You Go.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go.
In a moment, we will engage in a collective act of generosity known as our offering, when we take time to actively support Westside Unitarian Universalist Congregation and its many ministries with our gifts by text, check, or cash. Each month, we choose a community organization to share 1/3 of our undesignated offering gifts, that is, those donations not designated as your pledge contributions. For the month of November, our community giving recipient is Real Rent Duwamish. As a congregation, we pay a monthly rent to the Duwamish Tribal Services, and we have committed to share our Sunday offering with them once a year. This way, we can uplift the Duwamish tribe as the first peoples of Seattle in the face of the U.S. government refusing to honor the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. 100% of real rent payments goes to the nonprofit Duwamish Tribal Services. Their mission is to promote the social, cultural, political, and economic survival of the Duwamish tribe, to revive Duwamish culture, and to share their history with all peoples. So you can give by text by sending a message with a $sign in the amount you want to give to the number on the screen. For folks here in the sanctuary who prefer to share your gifts by cash or check, the greeters will move among us shortly. And if you'd like your gift to be recorded as coming from you, please use one of the envelopes in the pews. And now please enjoy this gift of music from John Hanson.
Thank you, John, and thank you all for giving as you're able to support the work of this community and our partners in the wider community. It's so appreciated. During each of our services, we like to take a moment to make collective space for holding the joys and sorrows of this community. As a reminder, if you would like for your personal joy or sorrow to be shared from the pulpit or in our newsletter, you can find a form to submit that in our newsletter. First, a sorrow. We have learned that a friend of the congregation, Tamara Morrison, died on Wednesday, and we are lighting a memorial candle in her honor. Let us hold her in our hearts as she transitions out of this life, and let us hold her loved ones as well. And we have two joys being celebrated in our community this morning. First, Tiffany Harris is thrilled to announce that she has found a place in a home with other young women like her in Linwood. She is not here this morning because Jade and Phil are moving her in right now as we speak. We wish them all the best with this transition, and Tiffany requests congratulations when you next see her. So please make sure to give her your love. And this week, Jennifer Dissotel was selected to be the next Associate Deputy Director of Federal Mediation and Conciliation Services. In this role, she will work with Congress, the White House, and all international work on peacekeeping and federal mediation. She writes, I know, yeah. Jennifer writes, I am thrilled for the opportunity to improve peacekeeping and dispute processes on a wider scale. We are so happy for you, Jennifer, and really grateful for the good work you do in the world. And on the first Sunday service that we gather each month, it is the tradition of our congregation to honor the joys and sorrows of our members and friends with an embodied ritual. During this time, you are invited to approach our altar table from the side aisles and place a stone into one of our water bowls and return to your seat through the center aisle. Please, as you hold your stones, take a moment to fill them with prayerful intention. As you place them in the bowl, feel what you are holding, mingling with the joys and sorrows of this whole community. For those of you joining remotely, you are invited to hold a stone or other sacred object and do the same. If you have an altar or a place on your table beside a chalice, you may use care and intention to place your sacred object down. And this week, so many of us are holding an extra weight of disappointment and fear as a result of this week's elections. There are so many calls put out in favor of building a strong and connected community, holding fast to our values in the months and years to come. We have always known that this is our work to do in this faith community, but it feels especially potent right now. So in addition to placing stones as we usually do, we have something for you to take with you. There is this additional bowl of glass pebbles. As you wish, you are invited to take one of these as a token of your commitment of how you want to show up for the days to come. May it be a reminder of your connection to one another, a touchstone to hold when you're feeling worried. And if you are not here in person and you would like one of these pebbles, please let us know and we'll arrange to get one to you. So come and let us share in this time of ritual. let us take a moment of silence in prayer or meditation or just quiet, and hold in our hearts all the joys and sorrows, both known and unknown, in this community. May we know that right here, right now, we are lifting each other up in love and our neighbors in the wider human community. These words are from Lynn Unger. Anyone who tells you not to be afraid should have their head examined. Cities are burning, hillsides are burning, and the dumpster fire of our common life is out of control. I wish I could tell you when it was going to get better. I wish I could promise that better was anywhere down this road. I miss dancing, bodies in something between conversation and flight. I miss singing, the way we trusted the air that moved between us. I miss the casual assumption that everything would be all right in the morning. These days, I am trying to be buoyed by the smallest things: a ripe tomato, a smattering of rain. These days, I am trying to remember that songs of lamentation are still songs. So let us lift our voices and continue this prayer in song.
I believe we are all aware that the presence of social media in our lives is a complex, often double-edged proposition. But on Tuesday night and all day Wednesday, Facebook enabled me to connect quickly with friends nearby and far away, to share and affirm feelings to help me break through stunned silences. My Facebook feed also filled up with shared readings, wise, fierce, inspiring, and yes, comforting words for the immediate moments and visions for the ways forward. Here's a reflection from writer Rebecca Solnit that, like me, many in my circle latched onto. They want you to feel powerless and to surrender and to let them trample everything, and you are not going to let them. You are not giving up, and neither am I. The fact that we cannot save everything does not mean we cannot save anything, and everything we can save is worth saving. You may need to grieve or scream or take time off, but you have a role no matter what. And right now, good friends and good principles are worth gathering in. Remember what you love. Remember what loves you. Remember in this tide of hate what love is. The pain you feel is because of what you love. The Wobblies used to say, don't mourn, organize. But you can do both at once, and you don't have to organize right away in this moment of furious mourning. You can be heartbroken or furious or both at once. You can scream in your car or on a cliff. You can also get up tomorrow and water the flower pots and call someone who's upset and check your equipment for going onward. A lot of us are going to come under direct attack, and a lot of us are going to resist by building solidarity and sanctuary. Gather up your resources, the metaphysical ones that are heart and soul and care, as well as the practical ones. People kept the faith in the dictatorships of South America in the 1970s and 1980s, in the East Bloc countries and the USSR. Women are protesting right now in Iran, and people there are writing poetry. There is no alternative to persevering, and that does not require you to feel good. You can keep walking, whether it's sunny or raining. Take care of yourself, and remember that taking care of something else is an important part of taking care of yourself, because you are interwoven with the 10 trillion things in this single garment of destiny that has been stained and torn, but is still being woven and mended and washed.
So a few weeks ago, I was talking with my voice student, Debbie Kaplan here, who has been a member of the West Side Chorale since January also. And I said, you know, I think it would be really nice for you to sing a solo here. I want you to find something really that you think would be appropriate to sing here. And so she went through and says, I don't know, you know, I'm looking for something. And then she found this great song that was originally recorded by Brandi Carlile and Alicia Keys. And it was a beautiful song, and I thought, that's perfect for this church. And we'll look for the perfect time to sing it. And then I sort of really took in the words of the song, and Reverend Carter and I decided, you know, this would be good for this week no matter what happens at the election. So it was decided a little while ago, but it takes on a really very powerful meaning. I really love the song itself, and I love the way that Debbie will be singing lead on it, and Liz Bucklew agreed to come and sing the beautiful backup harmony. And I invite you to take in the message of this song. Thank you.
into a scream, made a beautiful noise. Shoulder to shoulder marching in the streets. When you're all alone, it's a quiet breeze, but when we band together, it's a choir of thunder and rain. Now we have a choice, 'cause I have a voice. I'm not living to die. Don't stand in a wasteland, look at me in the eye. Stop living a lie and stand up next to me. You gotta put one foot in front of the other, with a hand in a hand, holding on to each other. Go on and rejoice, 'cause you have a voice. It is loud, it is clear, it's stronger than your fear. It's believing you belong, it's for calling out the wrong. From the silence of my sisters to the violence of my brothers, we can rage against the river, feel the pain of another. I have a voice, I have a voice, and I let it speak for the ones who aren't yet really free. It's killing me. No one is saying what we need to hear. I will not let silence win, not when I see all the pain our people are in. There's no other choice, 'cause I have a voice. It is loud, it is clear, it's stronger than your fear. It's believing you belong, it's for calling out the wrong. From the mouths of our mothers to the lips of our daughters, we can dream like our brothers, speaking loud like our fathers. We can heal. Can you hear us? Can you hear us now? I have a voice. Started out as a whisper, turned into a scream, made a beautiful noise. Shoulder to shoulder marching in the streets. When you're all alone, it's a quiet breeze, but when you stand together, it's a choir of thunder and rain. Now we have a choice, 'cause I have a voice. Now we have a choice, 'cause I have a voice. Now we have a choice, 'cause I have a voice.
Thank you both. Thanks for choosing that song. It is good to be with you all, even though it is a hard day to prepare a sermon for. It's not quite that I have nothing to say, though there have been moments this week where I have had nothing to say. It's more that I don't even know what this moment needs, what needs to be said right now. I know you're all here. I don't know what's bringing each of you. Maybe you're here for words of comfort, for making sense of this past week. Maybe you are ready to hear a plan of how we are going to band together and get through this and jump into action. Maybe you are ready to be inspired and look for little slivers of hope, or you're wanting your lamentation validated, a place where it is okay to rage. I will try my best. I have needed all of these things over the past few days. On Tuesday, the voters of the United States of America elected Donald Trump into the presidency for a second time. And I hate that I even have to say his name from this pulpit. It's because I believe that responding to the moral problems of our time asks us to have a much broader view than just calling out the enemies at the top of the ticket. I think it's always more complex than that. But the truth is, this one unscrupulous businessman who has many crimes to his name, who incited a riot on the Capitol in order to cling to power, has been given that power back. It seems that some portion of our electorate is either ready for a particularly heinous version of authoritarianism, or they somehow believe that that's not coming for us. Trump has told us what he wants to do with the presidency, and we have no reason not to believe that he won't try. I could spend a lot of time sharing my own personal feelings about the agenda he's promised us, from mass deportations to criminalizing gender-affirming and reproductive health care, to violent repressions of protest movements, to dismantling many regulatory agencies and welfare services, to ramping up our use of fossil fuels in a time when we desperately need to do the opposite. There is a lot to be rightfully afraid of, and it's not just red or blue politics. It's about our values, and if we live in a society that has common values, I am afraid. I am in shock. And this is true even though I knew that we still had a dangerously racist, misogynist, and nativist underbelly in our country. I'm in shock even though I knew that the Democratic Party had limits in its ability to offer a truly progressive vision of the future. I knew this. I'm in shock even though I knew that this country was still founded on stolen land and stolen labor from stolen bodies. There's still a part of me that doesn't know what to make of it. I wasn't expecting to feel this grief, to have to be in this situation somehow again, and somehow worse than 8 years ago. And I don't know what the right thing to say is. I wonder if the meaning-making that I'm doing now will even feel true in a few days' time. So with that, I hope you will grant me some spaciousness to speak the truth that I have access to now, knowing that we make sense of this whole situation together and over time. We don't need to be in a hurry. I hope you are offering yourself and your loved ones that same grace. I am seeing so many people out there, especially on news outlets, grasping to understand, to try to speak with so much authority and confidence. I want to caution us against this race to have the best, most astute analysis. We don't need to live in our heads right now. There are so many ways to touch the truth of this moment, and I hope we can reside in the not knowing if that's what's true for us. I think we can be stronger and more grounded that way. And yes, there is a place for analyzing what went wrong and how we got here. That information is really valuable, but we don't need to hurry. In this space, we remember that we are a people of faith, not just of analysis. And if you are like me, your faith might feel tested right now. That sense of doubt, of feeling betrayed by what we thought we knew, needs our attention and care. For me, I think I have to admit that I honestly believed that humanity was destined to be on this road of continual progress as long as we just worked hard enough at it. And now I am less sure that that's true. I thought we could get better at feeding our people. We could get better at building institutions to promote the expansion of knowledge. We could have more fundamental rights respected, more harmony with the natural world around us, more art, more justice, more time in community, more well-being overall. Sure, there is a lot we're contending with, but it really felt like we could slowly and steadily make our way there, and that is being dismantled for me. And I know many of you might not be in a similar place. It's really okay if you don't agree with me. Maybe your faith is completely unshaken, or maybe it's been a long time, if ever, since you've connected with any notions of onward and upward forever. That is all okay and welcome here. The truth is, I am feeling apocalyptic these days. And it's not just about Trump. It's also witnessing the desperate situation in Gaza as an action against terrorism has become an excuse for genocide. I am heartbroken at what humanity still seems to be capable of in the name of nationalism, empire, and capital. And then this fall, I had to witness the sweet mountains 300 miles from the coast that I used to call home, where I first became a climate activist. I had to witness those mountains be completely devastated by a super hurricane. A college classmate of mine was killed in the floods. Other comrades are literally climate refugees, and those who are still there don't have safe roads to drive on or consistently safe water to drink. And that happened in September, and it's November. Waves of mud destroyed whole towns. Hillsides were wiped clean of all of their trees. And I have to reckon with the fact that the apocalypse caused by Hurricane Helene, though it pierces my heart, it's not unique in our world anymore. The same apocalypse happened in Spain. There's flooding in Missouri. There's fires in California and New Jersey, one right after the other. I was only devastated by the apocalypse in Western North Carolina because it is a place and people that have my heart, and I have to know that there are so many people who feel that way about so many places. It is a small fraction of the bigger picture. I'm sorry to be dark, but this is the truth that I have access to right now. There is so much being destroyed in these days, so much violence and loss. Apocalypse is the only word I have right now. But I'm starting to have a new belief system that makes room for apocalypse, I think. Here's what I mean. I look into apocalypse and I don't see a meaningless void anymore. Instead, I see a dark and unfamiliar world with no clear trails to follow and no map that makes sense. And I want to explore that world. I think we have no choice but to make a home in that world. We have to feel our way through and make our own maps. And we need to hold on to those we love so we don't get separated from them, whether we want to or not. A time of many endings is not the same as a final ending. The story goes on. I'm also remembering how important it is to be a good student of history, to know the stories of our ancestors, those of blood and of spirit. The passage from Rebecca Solnit that Lisa shared reminds us of this. So many people in human history, and many of them not long ago, have experienced apocalypses of their own day. The settler colonialism and genocide visited upon this continent and its first peoples was an apocalypse for so many, for cultures, for families, for each person taken from their communities and forced into chattel slavery. That was an apocalypse. So much of World War II and the Holocaust put people into unimaginable circumstances where they had no guarantee that it would all be okay at the end of things. And even though there was an end and the Nazis were defeated, so many did not make it to the other side. That was an apocalypse. And let me say now that probably, even in this room, there are people who have lived through or maybe are living through their own versions of apocalypse. It's very likely that for some of you, the threat of a second, more ferocious Trump presidency is nothing new in a world shaped so much by systems of oppression. So many people in our world are every day living through traumas, whether tragic losses of loved ones, cycles of poverty, abusive situations. Let us not forget those who are already suffering in our communities when we imagine the future possible suffering we might face. We're all bound up together. But still, I believe that every person in history who has faced an apocalypse of one kind or another has been able to persist in human dignity. It feels more true than anything else right now. Creativity, love, generosity, and appreciation of beauty are nothing if not strengthened in desperate circumstances. My friends in Western North Carolina have all reported this. They are seeing themselves and their neighbors become more kind and more giving through the pain of the loss that they would wish on no one else. They are deepening in connection with the land, with others, and with themselves. In other words, they are becoming more human every day. Whether I believe in progress anymore or not, I still believe in the resilience of human goodness. Throughout this week, there has not been a second that I have doubted my ability to move in love, whatever circumstances are coming our way. And I hope you feel that way too. It seems incredibly likely that difficult circumstances are going to come our way, possibly very difficult, possibly very soon, possibly for a very long time. I really hope not, I really pray not, I don't want to wish it into being. It's just hard to know with any certainty right now, so I hope we'll take it one day at a time. And before long, there will be opportunities to jump into action. You might get the call to show up for your shift for the revolution. But I hope we can take some time right now to pause and tend to our hearts. No particular future is guaranteed, and as Brené Brown says, it does us no good to dress rehearse tragedy. Yes, let us tend to our hearts. Maybe that looks like an extended grief process, or leaning into how pissed off we feel, or filling up these days with tenderness and connection. I like the warm blanket. I hope we all have our warm, fuzzy blankets. Because we know the things that make us more whole and more connected, and we need those now. This week, I've been asking this question with the staff here, with my committee on ministry, with colleagues, with worship leaders. I've been asking, knowing what we know now about the agenda of our future president, what needs to change about how we do ministry here? And also, what doesn't change? For one, I do think there will be a time for getting together to strategize about how we as a community best want to mobilize to take action for justice. Already this week, we have been contacted by queer folks looking for refuge. There's a trans young adult in a red state who heard that Unitarians were safe people. We sent them some Seattle-based resources, knowing that we probably didn't have much more to offer than that right now, but maybe we can build some resources. Maybe we can join in coalition with other communities around the country and be a part of a network offering safe haven and support for people like this. And I know that we have a history of supporting immigrant justice here, witnessing outside of detention centers, and so maybe this work needs to be reignited. I think we can get together and strategize. We need to go all in on protecting people who need sanctuary. Our approach to justice work and how we organize ourselves might need to change. We might need to be more bold, more agile than we have been before. And at the same time, I think a lot about who we are and what we do that shouldn't change. Even if we are deeply engaged in a sanctuary movement, that will not be all that we do or all that we are. We will always need to be a faith community where we show up for each other with a lot of love. We need to hold space for each other for solace. We need to ask each other big and scary questions. We will still need to share meals together and music too. We will always be bound up in a covenant that reminds us that we belong to each other and that we are accountable to one another. And we will need to still, as we already are, be called to open ourselves up to others who are seeking a spiritual home in these times, All over the internet right now, there are calls to build a strong, interconnected community that we can rely on if and when things get tough. And guess what? Churches are a great place for that. And I've noticed there are some newcomers today, so if this is your first time with us, or your first time in a while, welcome. I am so glad you're here. I'm so glad. I hope we can be that place of connection and building resilience for you. And we're not only getting people who are reaching out asking for help, we also had a neighbor stop by earlier this week looking for a way to pitch in. There are so many people who want to help, so we've got those folks to rely on. But before we move, we get this time to ground ourselves. What a gift. I am so sad to think that in the years to come, we might have to put more work into surviving than truly thriving. I am so sad. I am mourning in advance all that we might lose, but for now, we do get to grieve. And I am trying to remember that some of the most important things can't be taken away. There will always be beauty in the world. Every one of us will always be able to choose to act in fierce and humble love. There is a freedom in our spirits that cannot be constrained, even when rights are taken away or others don't respect our inherent freedom. It's still there. We have to remember this. We also have to remember that in this life, we have never been guaranteed safety or a viable future. That was never the deal. It's not something we ever had with certainty, even if we felt like we did. In a way, we are called to live in these days like we always have, understanding that tomorrow may never come, but still loving, building, giving while we can. Y'all, I am scared. I really want us to get through these next 4 years or more years whole and well, and I'm scared that we might not. But let us love anyway. If we must bend and break, let it be so that we may break open and come alive. Because in the words of Howard Thurman, what the world needs is people who have come alive. So I invite you all to take a moment to set an intention. Maybe you want to use your glass pebble. Hold it in your hand. And think, in your experience, in your body, what does it feel like when you have come alive? How does it feel when you move in love, even in difficult circumstances? Let that sense come into your body. Maybe take a mental picture of it. Are there any commitments you want to make to yourself or to the people in this room? Maybe you can place those intentions into that pebble. And let it be a reminder of the clarity that you feel right now. That clarity is a gift. Thank you all. I love you so much.
Thank you, Reverend Carter. So I invite you all to rise in body or spirit as we sing our sending hymn, This Is My Song, which is hymn number 159. And I chose this song again before we knew what the outcome of this was going to be. And I've always loved this song in all its different iterations, but for me particularly, it calls us to realize that there is a unifying factor underneath it all. You know, that between our nations, in our nations, and in our own nation, that there is a heart, and that heart is still alive. and been on the planet 73 years now, and I've been through a few apocalypses myself. And this one, while it feels devastating, feels manageable.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and mine. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here lie my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Friends, it is so good to be together today. It is so good to see you and to feel our connectedness. Thank you so much to all of our musicians today, so critical to what we feel here, to Scott and to Marion and to John and to our soloists, Debbie and Liz. Thank you. To our chalice lighter, Elizabeth, to our AV experts, Nate and Henry in the booth, to our ushers and our hospitality team, ready to greet you after the service, and to Reverend Carter. Not just for today, but for all week. I don't know about you, but I'm glad we have a minister. And I'm glad we have this minister. So this week, more than ever, it is a pleasure and blessing to do this sacred work together. Now, I'd like to invite John Fawcett Longford to offer a gratitude from the Environmental Justice Group because we want to hear about a win.
As most of you know, I'm John Fawcett Long. I'm coordinator of our church's Environmental Justice Group. One of the wins that came out of Tuesday were that 3 of the regressive initiatives were defeated. Most important, well, very notably, 2117, which would have dismantled our state's Climate Commitment Act, was resoundingly defeated, 62 to 38%. Which sends a very clear message that hands off, we want to keep our Climate Commitment Act And our church was very much involved in fighting that initiative. We sent out 300 postcards. The board reviewed our committee's proposal to send it to a congregational vote. Members voted unanimously to join the No on 2117 coalition. 19 faith groups joined that coalition. We made signs. We were up at the junction, Alaska Junction, every single Sunday since September 15th, waving those signs. I'm sure we did even more that I can't remember. Sorry if I forgot. I do want to highlight some core members, Riley Anderson, as well as friends of our congregation, Lisa and Katie Kaufman, who were up there at the junction nearly every single Sunday, carding those signs, waving those signs, collecting literature. Our actions mattered, and we won. Where do we go from here? We recover, we regroup, and we resist. And to paraphrase Churchill, we will fight them everywhere. Thank you.
Yes, and actually, there were a lot of wins on Tuesday. And if you haven't sort of clued into that, sort of take a breath. There were a lot of wins on Tuesday. So, please take a look at your West Side Week. Members who received it on Friday. For details, lots of important activities and resources are in that newsletter. But today I want to highlight that Laura White and Steve Finney from our membership team, sitting right there, are hosting a new member orientation in the Fireside Room at 12 noon for those who are ready to take the next step, become an active pledging member of West Side for yourself or your household. Grab a coffee and a snack in the social hall. Meet us upstairs. It's right down here, over there at noon. The session will take a little more than an hour. If you're interested in becoming a West Side UU member but can't come today, see the newsletter for contact info to set up an individual session with them. So a lot of things are coming soon, so really pay attention. We're entering the holiday season, but there are other things to pay attention. A partner church team information session on November 20th, and a UU-based post-election spiritual care event on November 21st. Everything's in the newsletter. And especially save the date, Sunday, November 24th. After the service, there will be a potluck lunch and the greening of the sanctuary. On that Sunday, Reverend Carter and Jill Fleming will be leading our worship service on the theme, On This Land, as we continue to honor Native American Heritage Month.
Please rise one more time in body or spirit. Our closing words this morning are from Buddhist writer and teacher Lodro Rinsler. Remember, the people we elect yield tremendous power, but they have zero power over how we show up for ourselves and for others and offer love. Zero. So friends, let us go forth and claim the power we do have. And I'll invite Elizabeth to release our flame. As she does so, may you go into this week blessed and blessing the world. We hold you in our love as you go.
And we're going to end today with a rousing amen.